Your brain loves shortcuts. It's wired for them. They save time, energy, and mental effort. But here's the twist. The same shortcuts that help you survive can also make you misjudge, misremember, or misunderstand. They're the secret reason you jump to conclusions, trust your gut too much, or cling to first impressions. Let's unpack why your brain loves shortcuts, how they shape your daily decisions, and why sometimes they quietly work against you. Imagine walking through a dense forest. You're trying to find your way home. One path is long and winding. Another looks like a quick route through the trees. Your brain, just like you in that moment, chooses efficiency. It takes the shortcut. That instinct to save effort is the foundation of what psychologists call heuristics. They're mental rules of thumb that let you make decisions quickly without analyzing every detail. And they're not just helpful, they're essential. If your brain had to process every piece of information consciously, you'd never get anything done. You'd freeze at the grocery store, evaluating every single item before picking a loaf of bread. So instead, your brain leans on shortcuts, patterns learned from experience, to decide almost instantly. Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, two pioneers of behavioral psychology, spent decades studying these mental shortcuts. Their research showed that humans rely on two systems of thinking. System 1 is fast, intuitive, and emotional. System 2 is slow, deliberate, and logical. We like to believe we're mostly using System 2. But in reality, most of our daily choices come from System 1, the shortcut system. Here's the catch. System 1 doesn't always check its work. It jumps to what feels right, not necessarily what is right. Take the availability heuristic. It's one of the most common mental shortcuts. When we estimate how likely something is, we rely on how easily we can recall examples of it. If you've just seen a news story about a plane crash, your brain overestimates how dangerous flying is, even though the odds of being in one are less than 1 in 11 million. Meanwhile, driving feels safe, though statistically it's far riskier. Your brain doesn't mean to mislead you. It's just using what's handy, whatever is most vivid or recent. That's the shortcut talking. Another well-known one is the confirmation bias. It's your brain's way of saying, I already made up my mind, now let me find proof. Instead of seeking balance, we seek agreement. A 2021 study from Princeton found that people spend up to 36% more time reading information that supports their beliefs than material that challenges them. It's comforting. It feels efficient. But it keeps us stuck in echo chambers, personal, political, and emotional. Then there's the anchoring effect. You've seen it in action when shopping. If you see a jacket that costs $400, then another for $200, the second one feels like a bargain. But if you saw the $200 one first, it might feel expensive. Your brain anchors to the first number it encounters, even if it's arbitrary. Marketers know this, and they use it constantly. These shortcuts evolved for survival. Thousands of years ago, when humans faced immediate physical threats, there was no time for deep analysis. Quick judgments, friend or foe, safe or dangerous, kept us alive. But in the modern world, where most threats are social or emotional, those same shortcuts can misfire. Take stereotyping. It's an ugly, but very human shortcut. Your brain categorizes people instantly, often based on limited information. It's a survival mechanism, a way to simplify the social world. But when unchecked, it leads to prejudice, discrimination, and poor decision-making. Even your memory uses shortcuts. You might think memory works like a video camera, recording every moment exactly as it happened. But it doesn't. Your brain stores bits and pieces, highlights, emotions, fragments, and later reconstructs the story. That's why two people can remember the same event so differently. In one 2020 study, psychologists at the University of California found that eyewitnesses who were confident in their recollections were wrong about 37% of the time. Confidence feels like truth. But often, it's just another shortcut. And then there's the shortcut of emotional reasoning. When something feels true, we tend to believe it is true. If you feel nervous about giving a presentation, your brain might interpret that as, I'm not ready. But that emotion doesn't always reflect reality. It's just your nervous system trying to keep you safe from embarrassment or failure. The strange thing is, even when we know our brains take shortcuts, we can't just turn them off. They're baked into every neural pathway. Functional MRI studies show that the brain's energy use drops significantly when it relies on heuristics instead of slow reasoning. It's literally conserving power. Your brain is only about 2% of your body weight, but it consumes around 20% of your total energy. So every time it can take a mental shortcut, it does. But here's where it gets tricky. Shortcuts can quietly shape your identity. They influence who you trust, what you buy, even whom you love. When two people feel instant chemistry, it's often not just attraction, it's pattern recognition. Your brain detects familiar cues and fills in the blanks with assumptions. Safe, exciting, this person feels right. But sometimes, those patterns come from old experiences, even unhealthy ones. You might be drawn to what feels familiar, not what's actually good for you. This is how cognitive biases, the harmful side of shortcuts, start to run the show. There are more than 180 documented cognitive biases, and most of them operate beneath your awareness. They affect hiring decisions, medical diagnoses, and even courtroom judgments. In a 2018 study, researchers found that judges were more likely to give harsher sentences right before lunch. Why? Mental fatigue. Their brains, low on glucose, leaned more heavily on shortcuts. So what can you do about it? You can't stop your brain from taking shortcuts, but you can learn to notice when it does. Awareness is your best defense. Let's say you're making a big decision, buying a house, choosing a partner, switching jobs. If you feel yourself rushing toward the first option that feels right, pause. Ask, what's influencing this decision, a fact or a feeling? That simple question activates your slower, more deliberate system. It gives you a moment to step off the mental highway and check the map. Another strategy is to seek disconfirming evidence, information that challenges what you believe. It's uncomfortable, but it's powerful. You can even make it a habit. For instance, if you're convinced a certain diet works, read one credible article that disagrees. You might not change your mind immediately, but you'll stretch your thinking. Neuroscience shows that exposing your brain to competing information strengthens your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for reasoning and impulse control. Slow thinking takes effort, but it pays off. It's like exercising a muscle that's been on autopilot for too long. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes to recognize when your brain is taking a mental shortcut. Let's look at a simple example. Imagine you're scrolling through social media and see a friend post about a miracle supplement. Your first thought might be, wow, it worked for them. Maybe I should try it. That's the representativeness heuristic, assuming one example represents the whole picture. Instead, you can pause and ask, what's the actual evidence? That pause, that tiny moment of awareness, is how you start rewiring your brain's shortcut system. Even small moments of reflection change your brain's structure. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new connections, keeps working throughout life. Studies show that mindful awareness training can reduce cognitive bias and improve decision accuracy by up to 25%. You don't have to meditate for hours. Just taking a breath before responding or writing down your thoughts before deciding can make a measurable difference. Humans are not built to be perfectly rational. We're built to be adaptive. And shortcuts, for better or worse, are part of that design. They would allow you to read a room, sense danger, or make a snap judgment that saves your life. But they're also what make you vulnerable to misinformation, stereotypes, and impulsive choices. So the goal isn't to eliminate shortcuts. It's to know when they're helping you and when they're quietly steering you off course. Think about the last time you made a quick decision that turned out well. Maybe you avoided a bad investment, or you trusted a friend's advice without overanalyzing. That's the beauty of System 1. It's fast, intuitive, and often right. But then think about a time when you misjudged someone or made a purchase you regretted. That's the same system, just overconfident. Your brain loves shortcuts because they make the world manageable. They compress complexity into something you can act on. But every shortcut has a cost, a trade-off between speed and accuracy. And that trade-off shows up everywhere. In politics, where voters rely on emotion more than policy. In relationships, where first impressions can overshadow truth. In work, where confidence can outweigh competence. Remember, even experts fall for shortcuts. Doctors can misdiagnose based on the first symptom that fits a familiar pattern. Investors chase trends because the last success story feels recent and vivid. Journalists might highlight dramatic stories because they're memorable, even if they're rare. These are all human brains doing what they're designed to do, saving effort. But effort in the modern world is often what leads to wisdom. Taking time to think, to question, to verify, that's how you balance your brain's love of shortcuts with your need for truth. So next time you feel certain about something, pause. Ask yourself, is this clarity or convenience? Your brain might be handing you an easy answer. It might also be hiding a better one just beneath it. And if you found this kind of insight helpful, take a moment to subscribe to Tortoise Brain, because slowing down to understand how your mind really works is the best shortcut you can take. The irony is beautiful, isn't it? You can use awareness, a slow, deliberate process, to make your shortcuts smarter. You can train your intuition to be more accurate, your judgments more fair, your choices more conscious. That's the kind of shortcut worth taking. Because in the end, your brain's love of shortcuts isn't a flaw, it's a feature. A sign of how efficiently evolution built you. But evolution didn't know about smartphones, social media, or 24-hour news cycles. It built a brain for survival, not for information overload. Now it's up to you to upgrade it. To learn when to trust the shortcut and when to pause before taking it. That pause, that single breath of awareness, is where wisdom begins. It's where emotion meets reason, where instinct meets insight, and where your brain stops running on autopilot and starts working for you, not against you. So the next time you catch yourself jumping to conclusions, remind yourself, this is just my brain trying to help. Then take a breath. Look again. Think again. That's how you make friends with your shortcuts and stop letting them hurt you. Because the smartest mind isn't the one that never takes shortcuts. It's the one that knows exactly when to slow down.